I was on the pill from the age 16 to 30, whatever I was, 35, 36. When I came off the pill, after never having, I guess, a proper period, I didn't have any periods for years. It'd been a couple of years, like, that's when I thought this isn't right. I was greasy. I had a really greasy skin. I was really spotty. I thought it's just not right not to have periods. So I went to the doctors, and they just said, "Oh, just don't worry about it. Some people just don't have periods, right?" Which is sort of a bit shitty, really, because you're just saying, "All right, well, maybe some people don't have periods, but I should be having periods because I'm a woman, and that's like what women do, isn't it?" Um, Anyway, the doctor said to me on the sly, the only way that they're going to do further investigation is if you say that you want to have a baby. And the only way that you can have a baby is to know where you are in your cycle, but you have to have a cycle to know, like, when you're ovulating. And we don't know if you're ovulating or anything like that because you're not having periods, which is just mad, isn't it? So my husband and I at the time, I was just like, well, let's just say then that we want to have a family, want to have a baby because I need to know what's wrong because this isn't right. And yeah, finally they did all the scans and the tests and said, oh yeah, looks like you've got PCOS. Which at the time I didn't know anything about because you're just like, well, what's that? How does it affect me? How do I not have PCOS? Like, how do I get rid of this? And how do I just be normal? Um, and it just went sort of round and round really. In the end, they sort of said, was there something you could do about the PCOS? Um, but we can give you some medication to try and force through ovulation. I can't remember what it was now. I think there was two two different things that they tried to give me. Um, but I was just like, no, I'm not. I don't want to take just medication. Like there has to be a way. There's got to be a way that I can change something in my diet or I can take some sort of supplement, Like I just don't believe that everything should just be, oh, I've got this problem, both have this medication. So yeah, so I stumbled across this doctor called Dr. Marilyn Glenville, and I'll put her name as well in the post after we post this. She I think she's on Harley Street or something. But anyway, she specializes in like natural ways to help, not cure, but help with symptoms of women's issues like PCOS, endometriosis, bad periods, lack of periods. If you go on her website, she's got all these things, and then you can buy an ebook which gives you guidance. So I thought, well, I think it was about £7 or something. And I thought, well, even if nothing happens, £7, I can lose that. If and if it works, amazing. And
Hmm.
so she goes through on there, which the doctors never did, was explain what it is, what the condition is, explain like why it happens and why maybe certain foods can trigger certain things to make it happen, and what you can add into your diet or cut out of your diet, what supplements you can take to like help with the symptoms and maybe not necessarily get rid of it, but it was really getting me down because my skin was horrible. You go like that, it just felt like I hadn't, when you put suntan oil on and that horrible, like, it's horrible, isn't it? And I was really, like, on my chest, just loads of tiny little bumpy spots, and on my back, it was awful. Um,
I was going to ask you what does PCOS look like? Like what were the symptoms that you got?
well, so there was, so there's the horrible greasiness and all the tiny bumpy little spots, loads of them, like under the skin, had such awful skin. It was mainly on the back of my shoulders and my chest. Um, Bloating and weight gain. Um, my hair was disgusting. You know me, I mean, I know I've washed my hair today, but it has been a week. But if if I had PCOS, my hair would be. I just was almost washing it every day. It was just it didn't seem to get rid of the grease, and then it starts to come into your face, and yeah, it was just awful, like the way that it made me feel. So So yeah, I thought, well, I'll try. I'll just try changing things in my diet. Like what what have I got to lose? And it was saying in there that if you've got PCOS, if you go on a low carb diet, because the carbs have an effect on your insulin levels, and when they spike, it can cause hormone imbalance, and also things like dairy. It can affect one of our hormones in a way that sort of creates I guess the extra grease and stuff. So the way that she explains it all made loads of sense. And that was 2000, yeah, because we were looking, weren't we, on my folder for the ebook. That was 2018, um, towards the end of it, because I'd had enough then. I had a few years of just feeling like that and not having periods. So I thought, right, I'm going to do all this. So I cut out, like with carbs, it's the complex carbs which are fine. It's the simple carbs that she recommended to cut out, like bread, cakes. Or maybe not so much. Maybe like rye bread was fine, but like the white bread, cakes,
Pasta
sweets,
and stuff.
that sort of stuff. Yeah, and then the complex carbs, like your um, fruits, your vegetables, your more natural stuff was okay. So I did that, and I cut out dairy. Um, and actually, quite quickly, my skin got a lot better, but it took a long time. So I went through all of 2019 sticking to this, and the supplements as well. Inositol was a good one. That's really cheap actually. Inositol, you can get that anywhere. It's just like a powder.
What is
Um,
that?
so inositol, that helps to regulate your insulin levels.
So,
So you only need like a teaspoon or something, I think it was, and I just put it in my protein shakes.
so I just wondered because, like, for me, I kind of have heard it, but I don't really know what it is. And in case someone's listening, because this is the thing, isn't it? A lot of people will. There can be a lot of women out there who have this, and maybe hearing the symptoms, and have gone to their doctors, and the doctor doesn't know. Like the amount of doctors that misdiagnose. Like, how did it affect you? Like, what is PCOS? Like, what is it?
And so it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. So you get two different types of people. You get people who have polycystic ovaries, and that way they've got actual cysts on their ovaries. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is where your body has the same symptoms, but it doesn't actually it doesn't create the cyst, but it still doesn't release the eggs.
Mm.
So you don't. That's why you don't have periods and you don't ovulate because it doesn't let them out. Um, and so you end up having a bit of a build up, which looks like cysts. So I had loads of horrible internal scans on it, and it was like they were horrible. They weren't nice. We have a camera that goes all the way up and all the way up into your fallopian tubes and everything. It's like, whoop. To have a look at what's going on, where they could see, right, okay, yeah, got like, there's no cyst there, but they could tell it was PCOS, and obviously nothing had been dropping. So yeah, that's the main difference. I mean, I'm glad that it wasn't ovarian cyst because otherwise, yeah. I mean, some people have to have them removed and then have your ovaries removed and stuff. So PCOS is I guess more manageable or can be overcome.
Although ovarian cysts, again, I wonder if there is actually natural, kind of management of that. Because again, that's something that we're told, but I don't know. I'd be curious to see, I'm curious that you kind of caught that quite soon, I guess, didn't you? You were pushing to get help.
Yeah,
And obviously went that route. It's interesting because when I had the endometriosis, I had a GP tell me the same thing. Um, it was looking to be like 2 or 3 years waiting to see a specialist, a gynecologist. But they said if you were to be looking to, having a child, we could do the fertility route, and then you would, get the help that way. And the fertility route took 3 months.
yeah,
Someone got in touch, and then it was about 2.5 years that I actually got a gynecology appointment, and so I got my answers the fertility route quicker. And it sounds like the same thing happened to you.
yeah. And I think because of the age that I think I was 36. I think I was 36. 36. And me and my partner were, I think we were married by then, but so I had age against me. I was married and said I wanted children. So I don't know if that like fast tracked it a bit more or
Mm.
anything. But it was pretty quick actually. The NHS were really good about it because they got me in um for a scan, like I think it was literally that week.
Through the fertility department.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
when you first went there, like, what was, did you get offered anything other than the fertility route?
No, no.
No
If I
one
hadn't have
accompanied you.
said, yeah, if I hadn't gone down the fertility route, nothing would have happened.
And so what
Like nothing.
so you were talking about your skin and things, but then was there other ways that impacted your health and your life?
Which just I just felt like such a failure because I didn't feel like a woman because I wasn't having periods. And even though at the time I didn't want children, I didn't want that choice to be taken away from me
Would
either. So
you say it would affect that?
yeah, but that's yeah.
Um,
So
I mean,
they said, yeah, really sorry you got PCOS, so it's going to be unlikely you're going to be able to conceive naturally. And you just think, well, you this is great. You sort of think, have I done something to myself? Is it my own fault because I was on the pill for so long? Should I have, I lived quite a party lifestyle. Is that like the cause of it? Have I done this to myself? And
mm,
it's just that feeling of just hopelessness of not having any guidance or anyone that it's either, well, if you don't go down the fertility route, then that's it, it's your own fault. But if they'd have actually said, okay, well, there's some things that can help. You can maybe look at these supplements or try cutting this out from your diet. Try adding this in. Give it a year, see what happens, then come back. But just that to be told that final, oh, some women just don't have periods. Don't worry about it. It was just really like, yeah, I'm not accepting that. That's not cool. I'm not
yeah,
having it.
help in detecting it was if you wanted to have a baby. So if you wanted to, it's just for your quality of life, that wasn't an option. So it's
Yeah,
sad, isn't it, really? And I guess we're sharing this as well because it'd be interesting to see. I guess that was, when was it, 2018, did you say? I wonder how
yeah,
that has advanced. But I mean, this is the issue that a lot of women with any kind of gynae issues, the endometriosis or PMDD or whatever other things, fibroids, it seems to always be a battle to be heard and to get support. So yeah. So tell me more about the doctor that you saw, well, you found out about, and the guidance that you had with that.
yeah. So when I got that diagnosis of you got PCOS and you're probably gonna have IVF if you want to have a baby, then I was like, well, I don't want a baby like now. Um, and so well, that's it then, isn't it? Like, there's no way to get my periods back. So, but they said, but if you do want to have a baby, then we can give you some medication. I'm sure it began with M. It sounded like metadone. I don't know. But they said we can force the ovulation. So I thought, oh, well, maybe then by doing that, that might force, periods and stuff. But they wouldn't give that. So you've got then, I think it was you had to wait like 6 months or something to see what would happen, like before they would do anything. So I just thought, well, I can't do anything for 6 months anyway, so I'll just see if change my diet and taking these supplements will work. So throughout 2019, that's what I did. I was quite vigilant with all of that. I could see I was just feeling so much like better. My skin had cleared up, wasn't as bloated. Um, Still wasn't having periods, but just towards the end of 2019, felt like there was definitely something that was going to happen. I just had that feeling. Um, and then I went to Vietnam in the December, um, and just something happened with my hormones, like they just changed. I don't know, do you remember if I told you that loads of my hair fell out, like loads of it, a couple of
Okay.
weeks in. I lost like almost half my hair and it was really long. long because my hair was sort of probably like belly button length. It was super long. I was gutted. So I came back, and I had to have it all chopped off like to here because it was just thin and spindly. And my hairdresser had said, "Oh, I think something going on with your hormones." Um, yeah, so that had happened. But on the first of January 2020, my periods started. After having nothing for maybe 4 or 5 years,
Mm.
just boom, started, and they've been like clockwork ever since, um, which is weird. So yeah, so I went back to the hospital because you have to still sort of go and see them and stuff to keep you active. And he was like, right, you need to start taking this medication now. And I said, oh, I don't think I need to now because, like, having periods. And then it sort of took a couple of months to get used to them. They were really light at first. But then I was like, oh, I could feel like I'm ovulating as well. So it was weird to not just have periods, which I haven't had for years naturally, but also feel I was ovulating, which I'd never, ever, ever felt. So I didn't
Mm.
have an idea what that felt like either. And it was like something had happened. Maybe that year of changing what I was eating or supplements had helped enough to regulate my hormones, and then my hair falling out was like a right, hormones are right now. Start again, start
Mm.
afresh.
Just so your body's readjusting back
Weird.
to balance.
Yeah, but it's just really weird. I just remember being at my friend's house on that New Year's Day, um, and I was like, oh, I feel like I might have started my period. And then, yeah, I had just like it's a good fresh start. I mean, it was a weird year, wasn't it, 2020? So, but yeah, to have that just a fresh start and everything that happened in that year was kind of bonkers
Well, it
anyway.
must have felt
Um,
powerful as well, very empowering because you were told that it wasn't going to happen unless you had this medication. But then, you've
yeah,
kind of look at this. I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. Like whatever's coming out of our pores, it's what's going in that is coming out. There's something that's gone in that needs to be changed because the body is trying to expel it out. It's the main um, process of elimination is through the skin. So the fact that it was something was coming through your skin,
yeah,
like it feels to me
yeah,
like a no-brainer to look at the nutrition, diet, like eliminate some things, bring in some things, and bring in the balance. But sadly, our medical system, they're not trained in this area. So I get it as well. They're doing the best they can with the resources they have
yeah,
and the time that they have, and it's just so minuscule. They can't do half of the things. So I think this is the point as well, isn't it? We have to take flies in the room. We have to take responsibility for us. That I'm going to end up eating one. We're going to take responsibility for our own health because I think for a long time, the model or the way of living was, I've got a problem, go to the doctors, do what they say. Like that was the industrial times mindset or whatever. But like that isn't the right way to do it. We should be taking control of our own health and responsibility of our own health. And I think we are the generation that are really kind of doing that now. And it's so good. I'm so glad that you did that, and you thought outside the box rather than just following what someone's saying, especially with women's health as well. Like it's just so dismissed. Oh, it's just a period, it's just a painful period, or
yeah,
you've got a period, you should be grateful. Like some people don't have it, and it's like it's an important part of a woman's you know bio, our anatomy. They reckon it's one of the, it should be considered as one of the vital signs of life. For women, it's one of our vital signs, just as important as our heart rate is. If that's absent, something is not right.
yeah,
Like we need to look at. So I'm glad that you looked further and you got more answers. And then I feel like as well, there's more to it as well, isn't there? Like what you were told. You were told that you couldn't have children and stuff, and you went from an,
yeah. I mean, that one sucks. So, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So after I had a test done for the PCOS and everything, I then had other tests done to see if I was going through the menopause early or anything like that, and they came back and they said, all everything's the results show that we think you're perimenopausal. And I was just like, fucking hell, like that's so not only like it's bad enough having PCOS for them to say, oh, you're probably not gonna have, probably won't be able to have kids, but through IVF you probably could. To then going, oh, you're perimenopausal, so you're probably definitely not gonna have kids. And
Mm.
that was just like, it was awful because they were so certain about it. And I think that was actually maybe that was at the start of 2019. I can't remember now. But anyway, I had the test done again at the end of 2019, just before I went. Well, just before I went to Vietnam. So I think it was in November because it was like just before going on holiday. I remember just going, oh my god. And they said, yeah, it's weird. The tests are all your hormone levels are normal because they can test. I think I did one for egg count or something. That was okay, I think, and something else. Um, a test that one it put me in the basically there's no chance of having a baby, like thingy category. Can't speak today. I'm ovulating. um, and yeah, so I was just like, this is just great, isn't it? Like, brilliant. After all this stuff I've done, or been through, and all this stuff been told, and then that as well, just it's brilliant. But again, after that, I was just like, no, I'm not gonna have it. I'm just gonna stick with what I'm doing. Just have a feeling that it's helping. It is helping because my skin's better. Everything I feel better. So I just need to keep with it. And then yeah, when they did the retest and just said that everything was fine, and I was in a normal like thingy, being able to get pregnant, and yeah, I was like, phew, good, because it just what I didn't want was something the choice being taken out of my hands because
Mm.
it didn't matter that I didn't want a baby at that point. I knew I wanted a baby at some point in the future. But I was going to be older then. I was already in my getting to late 30s. So the more that time goes on, and the more you've got to wait, and they've got to do these tests, you've got to wait, and then they want to give you medication. If I'd done all of that and hadn't done my own research and found this Marilyn Glenville and followed her stuff, I personally believe uh, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't have a child right now. So yeah, I just think I just
And so
wasn't, I wasn't going to take that for an answer. What the medical staff are saying, no, wasn't happening. I think it's just try and exhaust any avenues that you can before going down the medication route. I
also,
believe
we know
personally.
our own bodies, and I think I think deep down you have an inkling of I don't know, something doesn't sit right. And I think sadly as well, like it's coming more and more to public knowledge that they don't like generally the medical system doesn't have a clue about women's health. Like
Yeah,
all the research up until very recently was always done on men, and they just applied it to women. Like apparently that was why there was a big issue with a lot of the COVID jabs, is because they were actually tested on mostly men, and they didn't know how it would affect women. So then there was issues with women's ovaries at one point with one of them, and like
yeah,
medication, I don't even know the point of where that stopped, but it was all tested on men for side effects, not women. So obviously we have a massive difference in the fact that we have a menstrual cycle, so that will, like certain drugs are just not going to work for us, or going to cause, issues and stuff. And I just find that mind-blowing that, up until like, and it's not like in the 60s or whatever, it's like really really recently, and they're still doing it, they're still testing mostly on men, researching mostly on men. So it's just like we're disregarded. It's like we're just seen as a smaller man. Well, that's how it was, wasn't it? That was the
yeah,
belief, with smaller men. So just it will be the same, but reduce the dose or whatever. So it's not surprising how you've still got the medical kind of education system, their curriculum or whatever, hasn't changed much. I know from going through it myself with my training, there was nothing. There was a little bit on anatomy and physiology about how food gets broken down, kind of thing, and that was the nutrition part, and that was wrong. Even like they didn't. I thought that fat was a fuel source that we can use. It was only glucose, but it's not. Fat can be used as a fuel as well. So yeah, it just that's the thing when we're taking on board what a doctor, and yeah, they are a doctor and they're trained and everything, and it's not saying that I'm not putting doctors down, but I think it's about realizing that that person is sharing based on their remit of knowledge of what they've been how they've been trained, the experience they've had, and what they've heard. And if they've not chosen to look into the field of women's health, then they're probably not going to have heard anything. They've not probably not. They don't get doctors don't get taught specific women's gynae health. That's a bolt on training that they have. They have an overall kind of
Mm.
training, and then they choose to specialize in that should they wish. So I think that's the thing. Some women are sat there in front of a GP who says nothing can be done, or like there's no other options apart from medicine or surgery, and they go with that thinking that that person is a specialist and they know better, and it's not necessarily true. So I
Yeah,
think it's really important to share these stories because yeah, like it's great to hear that you didn't just take that on board and you found your own way, and actually it meant that you were in a position that you could actually have a child in the time that you could have children, rather than going through their loophole of going here and there and waiting and this and that, like messing your body up with more drugs as well. Because it sounds like um,
yeah,
this is an interesting bit of research as well. The effect of taking a contraceptive pill, which a lot of us as women, young girls used to be given for bad periods, or I was given it because I had heavy periods and pain, which actually now I realise it was endometriosis. So I was given contraceptive pill that then created a whole range of imbalances in my hormones. So yeah, it's interesting how it
yeah,
was a drug that they gave at the beginning to you that caused the problems or definitely contributed to it, and now they're trying to give you drugs to reverse it, and then fertility drugs to then give you the thing that you needed. Like it's just crazy. what
yeah.
that gets.
And the weird thing though is that I think I saw two doctors. The first one was the woman, not the woman, a woman doctor who was the one that was like, oh, some women just don't have periods, so just don't worry about it. But it was the guy, the man doctor, who actually said, you know, want to investigate further, but the only way we could do that is to go through down the fertility route. So you need to say that you want a baby. That's interesting because I thought, surely as a woman doctor, you should be saying, because I was saying to her, but don't you agree this isn't normal?
Mm,
Then I just felt
mm,
gone away going, wow, I've just been completely shunned, like just discarded, like I don't matter, like my feelings don't matter, like my why I want to have a period and be normal doesn't matter. Just weird. It's
yeah.
just like some of them are just robots.
And that's the thing, it's not necessarily based on gender, yeah, I know that's another thing. Just because your GP is a woman, don't again like just take on board everything that they say, because unfortunately their opinions do kind of filter things. And it that like
Yeah.
some of them, I guess they see their job as just troubleshooting where there are real problems, like is this affecting the quality of your life, as in
Mm.
like are you going to get really ill, like I don't know. I think it's interesting. I don't know. It's curious to think of how they judge these things. I think that's some doctors just unfortunately are not there wanting to kind of improve the quality of life of their patients in whatever way they can.
Yeah.
And then you see like the Eastern model of medicine and health, and actually their intention is to keep their patients healthy. Like the traditional Chinese model is all about like your energy. If your energy is imbalanced, like dealing with the energy imbalance rather than wait until down the line that energy imbalance then becomes like a physical issue. It's a very different way of looking at things, but I think this more holistic like integrated medicine approach is coming in more, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to be the people that we have available
Mm.
to us. It's the people that you really have to research and find.
Yeah, and I think if so, this Dr. Marilyn Glanville, obviously she's like done years and years and years of research into it. She's got like countless people that she's helped, so it has to be worth a try. I just think the NHS would save so much money if maybe they took on board things like that, so they could say to people, how about why don't you just try for 6 months this? Here's what we recommend that you take out of your diet and put into your diet. Here's the supplements that we recommend. Here's the exercise and things like that we recommend you do. Do that. We'll do the test again, and then we'll see where we are. Rather than, yeah, just like, oh, just have this medication that will help, or or soz. We're That's it. It's just, yeah, I just don't know why they don't try and integrate a bit more with that, because by educating people, I think that's the thing that's missing is education. Like there wasn't any. This is what PCOS is. This is what's happening to you. This is why your body's reacting this way. Um, this is why we think it's happened. Um, there was none of that. I had to go and find it all out on my own, and it's pretty scary when you don't have a clue like what's going on to your body or why you're not normal. Which is how I felt. I just didn't feel like a woman. So yeah, it was pretty. And I think that's why I'm so used to just if something happens, I'll just go and try and fix it myself. Just
Yeah.
because you can only rely on yourself, really. So I have become from all that, sort of expect, but not expect bad news, but like I don't know. Am I the only one that hates getting post? Right? Do you hate getting post? Or is it just me?
I mean, generally they're bills, so yeah, I guess it's not.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I always suspect to be like something bad or something that I've forgotten to pay off in the past or something. They're like, we're going to take your house. I don't know. It's just stupid, but just always expect bad things to happen. From work, because so much bad did happen, and that's something I need to change my mindset on. Um, but yeah,